Hey guys, welcome back to another video on the channel, and right here with me is the Acer Swift Edge, which is the world's lightest 16-inch laptop with an OLED display. How light it is? It only weighs 1.1 kilograms. This is such an amazing form factor which I have not seen before yet on a laptop, and Acer has definitely done this so well by making such a thin and light laptop. And this is by all means no slouch at all, because right under the hood this laptop is powered up by an AMD Ryzen 7 6800U processor along with 16GB of RAM and a terabyte of SSD storage. So I've been using this for about 2 weeks as my work machine already, and here's what I have to say about it. Now let's start off by talking about the hardware and design. Now Acer managed to achieve the 1.1 kilogram weight by using a magnesium alloy chassis, which feels very solid and doesn't have any flexes at all. This is a very nice color, which Acer calls it the flex white color, but it has sort of a greenish and jadish color feel that actually feels very nice. And as you can see, Acer has actually implemented its new laptop design language here with a very simple Acer logo right on top instead of the middle. So this is a very clean looking laptop that a lot of people will definitely like. Now, in terms of port selection, I am very impressed with what the Acer Swift Edge has to offer despite its really slick form factor. On the right, you get a USB 3.0 port and a headphone jack, and of course a Noble lock here for you to lock the laptop. And on the left, you get two USB-C port that supports DisplayPort output and 100-watt USB PD charging, a full-size USB 3 port as well, and finally a full-size HDMI 2.1 port, which isn't even possible on some other laptops of the same class. The Swift Edge features a one-handed display hinge, which is actually very convenient as you can lift the display with just one hand. Unfortunately, this does not go down to a 180-degree flat angle for collaboration purposes, but that is actually fine by me because I kind of rarely use that feature unless I'm standing it forward. But even at this position, if I were to use it just like this, it actually looks pretty good as I'm standing and working on the laptop. Now, the display bezels are actually pretty slim as you can see, and this is a very nice 16-inch 4K OLED display with a 16:10 aspect ratio and pushes a resolution of 3840 by 2400 pixel resolution. So you really get some vertical space for viewing documents, articles, and whatever you're doing on it. This is a really great productivity screen. Brightness can go as bright as 500 nits, though not the brightest OLED display that we have seen out there, but this is definitely way better than many other laptops with an IPS display. Now, this is a really nice keyboard that Acer has fit onto the Swift Edge. It is not a keyboard with a numpad corner, which is actually good because I usually prefer this kind of layout for typing, but due to its slim form factor, some might actually find the key travel a little bit limited on this thing here. But for me, I actually got used to it after a while, but this is something that some might actually dislike because the key travel is kind of short, to be honest. The trackpad here is pretty big and it tracks really well, and I really like to use the trackpad all the time as I'm working. The Acer Swift Edge is one of the few laptops to come equipped with a security co-processor, which is known as the Microsoft Pluton chip. The chip is actually responsible for preventing any attacks on your laptop, and also it manages the security biometrics on your laptop as well. So speaking of security, the Swift Edge features a fingerprint reader on the power button right here that's actually very well designed, and even though it has a really good Full HD webcam that does well in video calls and even taking pictures as well, it doesn't support facial recognition, which is actually quite a shame. The Acer Swift Edge is a great media consumption laptop, and I've watched lots of movies on this and enjoyed thoroughly. But that's not without mentioning its great speakers as well. Even though they are actually downfiring speakers, this speaker grill on top is basically just for cosmetic purposes, but then the downfiring speakers are one of the best that I've heard on the laptop of the same class. Though I still wish that Acer would have included better speakers on this, but you know what? It is already quite good for what it is. And here's a sound test of how these speakers sound. Getting access to the laptop's internals is very straightforward, where you will just only need to unscrew 10 of these security Torx screws, including breaking the warranty seal right over here, which I believe everybody does anyway, and you just need to use a pry tool to pry open the case just like this. Alright, so this is what you get inside the internals here. Unfortunately, not much of upgrade options here. You cannot upgrade the RAM because it is already soldered onto the motherboard. It's LPDDR5 by the way, so you get to upgrade the SSD and of course the Wi-Fi card if you happen to have a newer Wi-Fi card in the future. This is actually a MediaTek Wi-Fi 6E chip, and you get a single fan right over here that dissipates heat through the back of the laptop. Let's talk about performance, which is one thing I am super impressed with the Acer Swift Edge. Like I mentioned earlier, this laptop is powered by an AMD Ryzen 7 6800U processor, which is an 8-core 16-thread processor with a significantly upgraded graphics power. Now, the AMD Radeon graphics chip here is essentially an AMD Radeon 680M graphics chip, which is a pretty good mid-range graphic chip that can run very well on games. Look at it right here. I'm actually now running GTA 5 with high graphics setting right now, which I'm just going to quickly show you some of the graphics setting right here. So we're going to head on to the graphics setting here. This is what you see right now. It is what I've set on the game now. Of course, MSA, FXA, and even VSync is all off, but I have most of the things on very high, normal, and high, which is the recommended settings when you first launch the game. Now, the video memory, that's about 7.7 gigs right here, but of course, the iGPU inside this laptop isn't that much because basically it shares some of the RAM memory for its GPU as well. So this is, as you can see, this is GTA 5 running on 1200p resolution, and it has about 100 frames per second. So let's just go up for a ride, shall we? So you can see right now, it's really smooth and very impressive on a thin and light ultrabook like this. See, frame rates are very consistent. There's no sudden drop of frame rates right here. All right, I'm obviously not a very good driver here, but you guys get the point here. So this is finally one of the few ultrabooks that can actually do AAA gaming at a very smooth frame rate, and I'm super impressed by how this laptop is able to handle all that kind of power. Now, of course, being a thin and light laptop, there is of course a caveat of heating, because this laptop, to be honest, it can get really toasty if you game for long hours, especially on this part here, which is unfortunately the part that we always touch because you always use the WASD keys, which is where you play games. But unfortunately, this is also the part where the laptop gets really toasty, and you do not really want to use this laptop to game for long hours. In terms of CPU temperatures, this is what it is right now. Even though I paused the game, its current temperature is now at around 70 degrees Celsius, and the maximum temperature that it has went up to is 91.1 degrees Celsius. This is actually very impressive considering it is actually an ultra low voltage processor, and yet it can run a game at this kind of performance. So yeah, I have no complaints about this kind of temperature. Of course, like I say, it gets very toasty with the slim chassis, and the cooling fan is surprisingly not annoyingly loud, which I think is something that Acer could probably do better. It could actually make the fan spin faster so that the heat can actually dissipate way faster as well. And by the way, heat dissipates through the back of the laptop right here, so you really don't need to worry about scalping your hands if you lay it here on the palm area. Now that you have seen how good the gaming performance of this laptop is, you can really imagine how good this could be when it comes to being a lightweight creative workhorse. It's just that you really need to watch out for the temperatures, as you might actually scalp your hands while you're actually touching the left side of the keyboard here. Now, in terms of battery life, Acer claims that you can get up to 7.5 hours on a single charge, which is actually a very reasonable claim for a 54 watt-hour battery that powers this laptop. Now, in my real-world usage, I managed to get up to 5 hours only, because you will never be able to get up to the manufacturer's claim of battery life, which I think is very reasonable. It's of course not the best when it comes to ultrabooks, because you would have expected at least 7 to 8 hours on a single charge in real-world usage. So for those who really wants to consider a lightweight laptop that has long battery life, this might not be for you, but thankfully it supports 100 watts USB PD fast charging. So if you can live with a 4 to 5 hour battery life on a single charge, this laptop is definitely the one for you. Considering the features, the slim form factor, and performance you're getting on this laptop, this is actually a very good buy because the Acer Swift Edge retails at a very reasonable 5,299 ringgit for the Ryzen 5 model and 6,399 ringgit for the Ryzen 7 model. This is actually a killer price tag for a 16-inch laptop with a 4K OLED display, and especially when it comes with such a powerful performance. So definitely go check it out in stores if you haven't done so, because this is the laptop that I am falling in love over any other premium ultrabooks out there. Right, so that's pretty much for my review of the Acer Swift Edge. Let me know if you have any questions and leave them down in the comments below. I'll be sure to answer them. And for now, thank you for watching this video, and be sure to subscribe to our channel for more videos coming right up, and we'll see you in the next one.